Foreign businessmen in the country have joined local industries in calling on the government to speed up the passage of laws to boost the economy. They're talking about liberalizing foreign investments, fighting smuggling, preventing monopolies, and passing a mining tax law in order to lift a suspension on new mining permits. But how can the government speed these up when more and more of the government is being drawn into the pork barrel scandal? And if the government doesn't act on these, will the last couple of years of strong growth soon turn into just a memory? Good evening, I'm Coco Alquaz. This is Inside Business. With us tonight, Rhicke Jennings, President of the American Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines, and Michael Raeuber, he's President of the European Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Did I overstate things there when I said that if the government doesn't pass these pieces of legislation and pursue certain reforms, that what we're experiencing now, what the Philippines is experiencing now, could pass?
It could be short-lived, Coco, because the thing you have to look at is the fact that, looking at job creation and the fact that there's still, by some surveys, still about 30% poverty level in the Philippines. Job creation isn't taking in all of the new people that are coming into the market, and so you could indeed see this to be a flash in the pan versus sustained growth.
And we've seen that, that's not unheard of even in recent history. Countries like India, countries like Vietnam, they were stars for several years and eventually ran into their kinds of problems, right? So it's possible for this to fritter that way.
Well, it does come down to opening the market so that you create small business. Because if you really look at where jobs are created, it's generally in small, medium enterprises.
And even the government says that, I think the figure is 90% of the people employed in this country really work for small and medium industries rather than the big companies.
Yes.
And what is hindering job creation at that level?
Well, as Rick mentioned, the markets have to be opened. I think a lot of work has been done. Progressive work has been done between business associations and chambers, local as well as international, with the last Congress. There have been quite a number of laws passed which positively influenced business here, and I want to claim that partially that has something to do with the growth rates at the moment. Now there is a program going forward, and we have to continue the good work with Congress and Senate, as well as government, to push forward some additional legislation to open it further.
Yeah. One of the things that your groups have pushed for a long time is liberalizing foreign investments, whether that's at the constitutional level or at the so-called negative list level. The president has said he doesn't want to spend political capital on that. He said that last year. He's been saying that since then. Now that this pork barrel scandal is happening, I guess political capital is dearer, so that would be even harder. Are you going to give up on liberalizing foreign investments?
But let's go to basics. The president was elected on a platform of creating a level playing field and provide clean government. Right now, this is what it is all about. Right? If a level playing field is created, and for example, antitrust and competition policies, which have been pending for 21 years here, are put into effect, right? Then new opportunities are being created. Now cleaning up, is creating as well a level playing field. So there is a big opportunity now in what is happening now.
But he seems to have made a political calculation that may be all well and good, but it's not worth the political capital he has to spend on it. Do you think there's any chance for it to happen?
But he came in with a promise that if we eliminate corruption, we will end poverty. And so what legacy does the president want to leave for the nation? And that's what this is about as well, is has this flowed down to reducing poverty and creating more jobs and opportunities for the Philippine people?
Let's talk about one other advocacy you have, which is in effect fighting smuggling, whether it's fixing the customs laws or fixing the Bureau of Customs. That's obviously a very difficult task. There's lots of powers who have their fingers and arms and hands in the Bureau of Customs. Is that even doable?
Well, it is doable, probably doable, but not so easy. There is a pending bill with respect to the creating a new customs and tax law, which has been also pending for approximately 5 years, and it nearly was passed in the last Congress, and it is now up for further deliberation. This new tax code does not provide everything needed to really modernize the Bureau of Customs. Like, it does not mandate it to go completely electronic. And right now, in praxis, actually, we are experiencing electronic and manual processing in parallel. And for us, that is actually, to a certain extent, more cumbersome than some of the old systems.
How do our customs processes and procedures compare with other countries, especially in the region?
Well, I've had people that have said that their experience with clearing shipments here, it's like it was in other parts of Southeast Asia 2 decades ago. So the processes are archaic, and because they're so paper and signature driven, and that's why moving toward a paperless system will greatly enhance the government's ability to monitor shipments, monitor the duties and taxes that are due, as well as eliminating the huge cost to import and export from the Philippines,
and eliminating the need to get signatures, which is the window for some officials to get bribes, right?
It certainly presents the opportunity.
Now, this bill
may be implied.
This bill, I tried to unimply it. This bill that you're talking about, which has some shortcomings, will it at least be an improvement over the current system?
To some extent, it will be an improvement. It clarifies certain sections of the old code, in the sense that it regulates this. The code statutorily defines free and regulated importations and exportations. The provisions also lay down policies on when imports or export permits or licenses must be secured, which was not provided under the PCCP. It also defines certain types of warehouses, new provisions allowing the creation of different customs bonded warehouses, and so on. We can only hope that also the moratorium actually to issue new licenses for the operations of customs bonded warehouses will be lifted, because that is actually a policy which is anti-competition.
Now, the President, in his State of the Nation address, one of the agencies he hit was the Bureau of Customs.
Yes.
And after that, we got, in effect, a courtesy resignation, which was rejected, and a promise to clean up customs. There was talk about a reshuffle. We haven't heard much of that in the last few weeks. Is that the way to reform the Bureau of Customs?
Well, Coco, if I hadn't come to your show this evening, I would be with my friend playing cards. And when you play cards, you reshuffle the cards. However, it's the same game and the same cards. And if you reshuffle it, the game will continue. So what does reshuffle actually achieve?
Theoretically, you would put people who had gotten used to and gotten skilled at executing corruption in certain ports you'll move into a new port where they'll have to learn the new game and maybe put a clean person there.
Well, it's the same rules, the same cards, and the same game.
What game were you going to be playing tonight that compares to that?
Well, I wouldn't be playing any game that compares to that.
In terms of the Bureau of Customs, so reshuffling is not the way to go.
No.
They talk about beefing up or making it more. They do talk about making it more electronic.
Yeah,
That is obviously the right way to go? You're saying
that's the right way to go.
Yes.
Can it be completely electronic?
Yes. Yes.
That's how other countries
Yes.
do it?
Oh, if you look at Singapore or in Australia, it's paperless and can be done that way.
You know, Coco, it is now possible to do a customs clearance for Singapore or for Australia in the Philippines. The BPO industry is enabling that. Why? Because the process is completely automatic. It's completely IT driven.
It would be pretty sad if Singapore Customs is really efficient that way using Philippine-based BPOs, right?
You are using Philippine-based BPOs to do a Singapore customs clearance because it's so simple, it's so easy, and it's driven by IT. So it's possible.
Let's talk about one other item that you've talked about, which is attacking monopolies or preventing monopolies and also fostering more competition among industries. Why is that important?
Well, I want to answer the question going a little bit deeper. You see, what is very encouraging is that by now business is united here in the Philippines. Okay, you have the local business associations. You have MAP, PhilExport, BBAP, Philippine Chamber of Commerce, SAP, and the foreign chambers who have written a letter to the President on June 19, 2013 as united business. And you see, some of these restrictive laws are to protect local business. But here is local business and says you have to unprotect, you have to open the country, you have to grow the pie, not fight protecting the small pie, but growing the pie. And in this letter, the chambers, the United Chambers and the local business association says, these are the points they are talking about. We need strategic transportation infrastructure projects which must be accelerated and implemented at the soonest time. We have to enact an effective antitrust law and competition policy. Now, this competition policy there is a bill pending, I think, since 21 years, which hasn't been enacted. Okay, the President came out with executive order, was it 41 or 42, creating an office of competition. And that is the right step in the right direction. But this law has been pending since 21 years, and maybe it's about time it's coming to fruition.
You've been here a long time. You've been here not as long, I think. Is there what you seem to be pointing at, a change in tone or outlook among local businessmen when it comes to changes that maybe the foreign chambers have advocated much longer? Have you sensed that?
I have. I sense a coming together of business because they see the opportunities, and to open the market and create more competition because there's a lot of opportunities for growth of business that simply don't exist because of the difficulty to do things like import into the country or to set up businesses. So while it's improving, there's still a long ways to go.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. More Inside Business when we come back. Stay with us.
Wow, may bagong toy si baby! Or should I say, future chef, or future rock star, or future executive. Mommy, ang daming toys na yan. Basta you're also saving for her future, ha? Visit brighterlife.com.ph and learn how your money can grow into a future fund for your child. So, ipon ng toys? Or ipon for her future? Make the right choice. Visit brighterlife.com.ph.
Pag super acidity.
Akala ko kaya ng ibang gamot pang hilab.
Ang akala kong lunas.
Yun pala, utang. Don't take fiances. Take Kreml S. 2 times kontra acido, 2 times efektibo. Ang lunas para iwas butas ng tiyan. Kreml S.
Welcome back to Inside Business. We're still with Rhicke Jennings, President of AmCham, and Michael Raeuber, President of the European Chamber of Commerce. One more item. The mining tax law. That's supposed to be progressing in this Congress. And that's the ticket so that the President will allow himself, because he imposed the moratorium, to issue new mining permits. Are you hopeful about that?
I am hopeful, but mining is such a tremendous opportunity for the country. I think there needs to be a more extensive dialogue within communities to talk about the opportunities for mining, because we've seen mining that's done in the right way here, and where there's been mining, they put things back so it's green and beautiful the way it was before. Responsible mining. So I think that there is the opportunity, and yet there's a lot of illegal mining that's destructive, and so the current environment where it's okay to let some illegal mining go on that's very destructive to the environment, it's not the right thing. It needs to be a broader discussion, and there needs to be legislation and so that the country can benefit properly from controlled mining versus the current environment where there's a lot of illegal mining, a lot of income that is lost or just benefiting a very few people.
We should really have the Australian Chamber here, because the next question what I'm going to ask is, several weeks ago, one of the biggest potential investors in the Philippines said it is scaling down its investment at the Tampakan project. How big a setback is that?
It's again when investors back away, where they say it's just too hard, the loss of jobs, the loss of tax revenue for the country, and when you're in a country where it's the 5th or 6th largest mineralized country in the world, it's just a shame to waste a resource that could benefit so many people.
Does that send a message, or is a message like that heard outside the country, that it's just too difficult to do business in the Philippines?
Well, talking about mining opportunities, you're right, it would be good to have the Canadian or Australian Chamber here. I would say passing a new mining law very soon would be damage control, because some damage has been done, as you said, with an investor walking away from a $6 billion US dollar.
They will, of course, say they haven't walked away. They just scaled it down and are going to concentrate on the regulatory side.
They temporarily walked away. But they may be coming back. So that's what I mean to say. So if a proper and adequate and fair mining law is passed, then there's an opportunity again to re-attract mining. But please consider mining investments. They are considering a huge time span. It takes a long time and a lot of investment before they start to become profitable. So they have to be assured that policies stay in place over an extended period of time, because these are not investors which are coming in, investing, and then after 1, 2, 3 years they have recovered and they could go out. I mean, the time spans they are talking about are 20 years or 25 years or longer. The problem is they cannot make on-the-spot decisions. So even the company who has scaled down right now has spent already hundreds of millions of US dollars and has employed 1,000 and more people just in preparation for this. So they were very, very serious in developing this mine.
Despite all of the bad news we've been talking about now, and the unemployment rate that came out this month, which was higher than which rose from last year, the economy is growing very well, very strong.
Correct. That's correct.
The kinds of businesses you had must be doing very well as well. How long do you think that will at least continue? How much momentum is there for us to enjoy this kind of growth that we're experiencing now?
Well, I think if you look at where the growth is coming from, of course, there's the payments that come in from the OFWs. That's considerably added to the economy. There's the BPO industry, and I would say with BPO, it's the biggest challenge they have is finding talent to work in those organizations. So there are limits out there to the amount of money that can be remitted back to the Philippines. There are limits to talent for one particular industry that's doing well. Manufacturing has been on a decline for the last 3 years, and I think that's a bigger worry. So I would say that it's probably not sustainable in the midterm, and so I think that's the worry is when the current sources start to decline, where's the next opportunity?
How much momentum do we have?
Well, 7.5% growth is, I think, a quite considerable momentum. And me as a European living and working in the Philippines, I consider myself lucky and in a sweet spot, so to speak. The markets are growing. China is still growing. I mean, their growth is on a reduced level, but they are still growing. And they are turning from an exporting nation into an importing nation. And all surrounding countries, including the Philippines, despite the present political skirmishes here and there, I think have a big opportunity to tap into that market. The Philippines, however, has to develop new products, because right now, as Rhicke said, a lot is driven by, export of electronics, but also predominantly by the export of labor directly through overseas contract workers and through the BPO industry. So in developing new services and new products, I think the growth can be sustained for a considerable period of time.
Before we go, what do you think after OFWs and after BPOs? What is, to use a phrase that is a cliche, what is a great sunrise industry?
Well, there are several sunrise industries. Actually, you have to look at Arangkada, the push forward, the fast acceleration. We have identified several areas of growth. One of the growth
Arangkada
areas
is the statement or the project of the foreign chambers.
The joint foreign chambers,
right.
yeah, all
lists
together.
down in very long
many details.
Yes.
Yeah.
what the Philippines and the government should do. We'll go ahead.
And where the sunrise industries are. Manufacturing is one, but the development of tourism is another. BPO industry is another. Mining is another. So there are identified areas where the Philippines, doing the right thing, can grow and can sustain growth and improve the plight of the Filipino people.
Even I agree with tourism is a big opportunity, on the right path, but need to make it easier. The other one is agriculture. That particularly in Mindanao, if we can solve the issues there, the amount of land that's available, that's not being utilized particularly well, is huge. And so I think those are big opportunities for the Philippines.
Okay, Rhicke Jennings, Michael Raeuber, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coco.
That's Inside Business. Thanks for watching. See you next week.